Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Venerable Chief Mahaprabhu, Venerable Vichitta, friends and children in the Dhamma. Now, today this Dhamma talk is specifically for children, for schooling youngsters. Yeah, that's what was the request of Chandana Mahatma for the benefit of the children. Now, Buddhism is for everybody, in the sense that this is an art of living which helps us to live in such a manner that day by day our misery decreases, our happiness increases. If somebody happens to live exactly as the Buddha teaches us to live, that person is moving towards happiness, bliss and joy. So it is an art of living. Some says Buddhism is a philosophy, some says it is a religion, but the meditators, those meditation masters, they usually see Buddhism as an art of living. I think we can agree upon that, because Buddhism is not just limited for the temple for just a day and you forget the Buddhism the rest of the days. No, it is not such a thing. Buddhism is something that should be transforming us, changing us for the better. So today what I wanted to talk about is something simple which can support especially the youngsters to change their lives in such a manner that they can be successful in their future years to come. Now, this story, there were two frogs. Somebody caught these two frogs and put them in a pail and then put on some fire underneath. The two frogs, they did not know that they are being cooked. So they are swimming happily in the water. One of the frogs felt the heat of the water slightly changed. The water is getting warmed up. Immediately, as soon as he felt that change, he jumped out of the pail of water. The other frog, he did not jump out. He changed himself according to the temperature of the water. As the temperature was rising, he adapted himself, he changed himself to the temperature of the water. So water is boiling up and he is changing. And there was a point he couldn't change anymore. Then he wanted to jump out. But he couldn't jump out because he is already stuck in it. He was changing to the burning or changing to that boiling water There was a point he couldn't change anymore. He wanted to jump out. Now he is stuck there. He was just boiled. He died there. Now whose fault is that? The fault of the death of this frog is because of his not jumping out on the right time, at the right moment. In our lives, we get burned by the situations, by the people. It is their right to burn us or not. But our duty is to jump out, escape, separate from it. That's what Buddha said. Patirupa desavasocha etang mangalam uttamam. Living in suitable environment is a factor of blessing. If you find that the people you are associating are wrong to associate, the environment you are living in is wrong to live in, nothing good happens out of this environment or the people that you are living with. You are getting burned. You are getting troubled, disturbed because of them. If you continue to live in it, knowing very well, you are going to be destroyed. But if you jump out of it, if you separate the location of your living, you are the first frog who jumped out on the right time. Now, Buddha's eyes explained the reality of the world. He saw the reality and he explained it. Why? Because we see the reality, but we don't get it. We always see the reality. It is happening, but we don't get it. When Buddha saw it as they are, he explained it to us. He said there are 4 persons that we should never associate. Immediately, as soon as you understand these persons, you have to run away. You have to be separated from them. You have to keep a distance, an arm's length towards them. Who are these 4 persons? In the real world, you are going to see these people. First one is the taker. They are just ready to take things from you. Not to give you anything, but to take things from you. If you ask anything from them, they will find excuses not to give. Or they give little and expect more from you. They are the takers. I'm not going to give you the Pali words. Yeah, you will forget them anyway. But can remember this word, right? Taker. In Pali, it's called Anyadattu Hara. Yeah. Can you remember that one? No. Yeah. Taker. Don't associate with the says. The second one, the talker. They just talk. Vachiparamam. Talk only. Lip service we say. Yeah. They are very good at talking. Their help is always tomorrow, not today. You could have asked me yesterday, I could have helped you, but not today. I am busy today. I have so much to do today. Not today. Just lip service. Very sympathetic words. No real help. These are the second category. The talkers. The third one, flatterers. Talk nicely to your face, talk bad behind you. Yeah? Just talking, just flattering you, raising you up in front and pulling you, dragging you down behind. Flatterers. In political world, these are the normal kind of people. These are the general types. Flatterers. The fourth type, these are the most dangerous ones. You should never ever associate. They are the reckless ones, reckless type. Apaya Sahaya, Buddha said. They are the ones who help you to go to hell. Reckless guys. They will drag you away from your lessons, to go to parties, nightclubs, gambling, drinking, taking alcohol or taking drugs, to anything. They will be very supportive. Yeah? Even though you don't suggest, they will suggest and they get you there. Now what would happen if you get addicted to them? People just take first time, they take just to test how they feel like. This is what they think. Just to test. But they don't know until they get addicted. Once they are addicted, they are the second crooks. They just destroy themselves. So Buddha says, at any cost, avoid these four types. Who are these? Can you remember now these four? Takers, talkers, flatterers, and the reckless. Can you remember? I'm asking the young guys here. Can you remember this? Yeah? Takers, talkers, flatterers, reckless guys, flatterers and the reckless ones. Buddha says, avoid these people at any cost. If you are stuck with them, you change yourself to them. That is the meaning of getting stuck in it. Like the frog, he changed his body temperature in comparison to the temperature in the water. But there is a moment he found that I cannot change anymore. But can he jump out of it now? No. He is stuck there. He cannot jump out of it. It happens to us also. There is a moment you will find that you can jump out. That's the moment you have to jump out. You have to separate. Yeah. So in this outside world, you will see these kind of people all the time, everywhere. But Buddha's teaching is helping us to comprehend these people immediately. Remember, words are very easy. From where the words coming out? From mind. From mind the words come out. But our body functions according to the heart, especially the facial features, I mean in the sense of facial expressions, occurs based on the heart. When you talk to someone, you look at the eyes of that person very clearly. You can see what he really meant beyond the expressions of his words. Look at his eyes. Once Bodhisattva met such a person, a devil in a desert. He was leading 500 carts across a desert. That desert is, the length of that desert says 60 yojanas. You have to multiply by 7 to get the miles. Yeah? That vast desert, the Bodhisattva, at that time he was the chariot leader, a businessman. He was leading his 500 carts full of goods to sell in the city beyond this desert. When he came to the middle of the desert, he met this demon, a devil, but came as a gentleman. Remember, if somebody wants to deceive you, they will come in the appearance of looking richer than you. If somebody comes like a beggar, a pauper, a homeless guy, can he deceive you? He cannot deceive you. We always scared of being deceived by the beggars, right? We think about, oh, this is a fake one or a right one. We always worry about that. But remember, the real cunning men, con men, come as gentlemen, not as beggars. They come with a tie and coat. Yeah? So this guy, this devil, came like a gentleman. Very kind words, compassionate words. He was talking very nicely to them and telling this Bodhisattva, you no need to carry all this water. There is greenery, an oasis just nearby. Throw away this water. Why you carry this big burden since you can have a enjoyment in an oasis nearby? When this devil went away, the crowd was pleading with the Bodhisattva, his other employees, asking him to throw away this unnecessary burden since we have an oasis at hand. Bodhisattva asked them, think practically. Think practical. Be practical now. Have you ever seen an oasis in the middle of a desert? Have you ever heard in this big desert there is an oasis in the middle of it? No, you haven't. He aroused your desire. That is how he can deceive you, arousing your desire. Arouse your desire, you become blind. You become full of ignorance. You have a cataract over your eyes. Arouse the desire. Now in Sri Lanka we have that experience, right? Our people got entangled with a big scam that they lost millions of money because of arousing desire. In the banks, they give just 16% or 15%. But in this company, they give, if you put money, they give 25, 30% of interest. They never check, they never investigate first. Arouse the desire, oh, I can get 30% for my money, the interest rate. That much money I can get. They put all their wealth in those scamming, those conmen, those companies. They lost everything. Arousing desire. It becomes a cataract to you. That's why Buddha says, be practical now. He aroused your desire. Be practical. Have you ever heard? There is an oasis in the middle of a desert. And did you see his face? Did you look at his eyes? His words were so kind, unnaturally friendly, and so kind. But did you watch his eyes? Did you watch his smile doesn't reach his eyes? Did you watch how bloodshot his eyes? How unnaturally white his teeth? Did you watch? No, you just listened to those kind words and you were completely attracted to that kind and friendly voice, friendly talking. But I was watching his eyes. His eyes were saying something else. I saw the wickedness, cruelty in those eyes. There is no such a thing in this desert. Nobody to touch water or to waste water without my permission. Nobody to touch water. Let's go on as we came. That demon couldn't destroy Bodhisattva. Why? Was Bodhisattva more intelligent than others? No. Because Bodhisattva was observing the facial expression of that devil. In this world, we are going to face them. We are facing them all the time. Don't be deceived by those words, but observe the facial expressions. Facial expressions coming from the heart. Heart is always truthful. Heart is always right. The truth is there, not the mind. Mind is very cunning. Always cunning, always trying to deceive. Mind deceive even us, ourselves get deceived by the mind. How about others? Yeah? Always be watchful. The person who says, your friend, when he's talking to you, look at his eyes, look at the expressions. You will know what is the truth. Yeah? In Buddha's time, there was this incident that a young boy, only son of a king, a powerful king called Bimbisara, the most powerful country at that time in India, right? Magadha. He had no sons, no children, no heir to the throne. Ultimately, the queen gave birth to a son. But calculating the birth time of this prince, those astrologers warned father, the king, if this boy happens to live, he is going to kill you one day. The king was warned. And the advisors suggested to kill this boy immediately. This is a future threat. An enemy is born to you. The father cannot do that. This is the firstborn and the only son. How can I kill? He said, no worries. Buddha is around. Buddha is in the city. Buddha is living in Magadha. Let's get this child in association with the Buddha and those enlightened disciples of Buddha. We have the solution. No need to worry. Buddha is there. So when this child was growing up, father sent him to see the Buddha. Unfortunately, before he met Buddha, he met Devadatta, the wicked kind of a monk, of a kind of jealousy, envious, angry, hateful, that kind of a person. This young boy, he's growing up. He met this guy. And this Devadatta had the capability to perform some miracles because he got some jhana, mental absorptions. So he could do miracles. And he showed these miracles, and this young boy thought, what? This is the guy, this is the man. He is so powerful. Why should I go to Buddha? This is the man. He became a devotee of this Devadatta, and Devadatta was always looking for power. He wanted to manipulate this boy. Manipulate for what? For his purpose, for his goal to achieve, not for the prince, but for himself. This is the people who are flattering. Remember, if somebody flatters you, some kind of ulterior motive is always there. Be careful with the flatterers. Yeah? There is an ulterior motive to use you, to get something out of you. So was the Devadatta. Utilize this boy, utilize this growing up boy, this prince, for his purposes. Little by little, Devadatta persuaded kill his own father. This prince and the king, father and son, they were so connected. Very strong relationship. The father and the son are in a great love. The father was so much attached to this prince. One day, it so happened, in the palace, the king was in the court, solving some issue. He heard his son is crying without stopping, continuous crying. Nobody could stop this crying of the prince. When the father heard, he stopped his business. He brought the king to his lap, and this prince to his lap, and this prince had a boil in one of his fingers. The king just put his son's finger in his mouth. When the finger is in the mouth, that boil, the pain is gone. The prince stopped crying. While the that finger is in the father's mouth, that boil burst up. The dirty blood and all those stuff in that boil came into the father's mouth, king's mouth. But king did not take the child's finger out of his mouth, and he swallowed it. Why? He was afraid his son might start crying again. Such a love, such a strong love towards the son and the son also. They were well connected. But what happened? As he got connected with this evil man, this evil man, little by little, gradually aroused the evilness of this prince. This is what happened. We don't know, we are changing according to them. That's the biggest danger. Yeah. So, this son who had such a great love towards the father, little by little became such an enemy of his father. He wanted to kill his father and become the king. And he did that. He killed his father with a dragging and torturous death. Yeah. And when he was the king, his wife, his queen, gave birth to a son. The day his son was born, he was so happy, elated, enjoying, partying with his friends because he got an heir, he got a son. Then his mother came to him and told him, "My son, your father enjoyed the same way, just like you. The day you were born was the happiest day of his life. You killed such a man. You imprisoned such a man. You tortured such a man." Then only he understood what happened. You see, cataract, somebody called a friend created a cataract in his eyes, caused him even to kill his own father. Yeah? But it is too late. It is gone. It is done. Now no more that he can do. He was regretting and regretting, no sleep. Every day he spent without sleep, regret. From that day onwards, his life was a hell. Only when he got to associate the Buddha, he found some happiness in him. This is how if we are to be influenced by those kind of evil men, this can happen even to us. That's why Buddha insisted always to avoid these kind of people. Takers, talkers, flatterers, and the reckless. Look at them exactly. Look at them, understand them exactly who they are. Then you won't be deceived. Yeah? Just like the Bodhisattva was not deceived by that devil. Otherwise, you will be fallen into that same category of Ajasatta, the guy, the prince who killed his own father. So Buddha begins the Mangala Sutta, the sutta which teaches the factors of blessing. Mangala. Mangala, I heard this translation in commentaries. They say Mangala means stopping the journey to perdition, thwarting one's demotion to suffering is Mangala. Now, Mangala today we translate as blessing, right? Mangala Sutta means Sutta of blessing. But the real meaning is given there. The factors that stop one's journey to suffering is Mangala. The first one is nothing but asevana chabalana, not to associate those balas. Who are these balas? Takers, talkers, flatterers, and the reckless. Those people who are homeless on the streets, they were just like us. Most of them were not born on the streets. Most of them were born at home, hospitals with parents. Some even got educated, some even got education. Some were in good status. What happened to them? Most of them ended up in the streets, being homeless, due to the simple reason they could not jump out from those associations. Those people who persuaded them to drink, take drugs, do the wrong things. They could not jump out from them. They were stuck there and they ended up in the streets. In Buddha's time, this same thing happened. Millionaires became paupers, beggars because of the wrong association. Good people, good monks turned into evil, wrong ones because of the wrong association. Because human life is nothing but an opportunity to become. Animals, if somebody becomes an animal, he is an animal for the lifetime. He cannot go up or cannot go down. He is there, he is stuck. But our boon and bane is we can be conscious, we can be unconscious. We can develop further, we can go down lower. We can lower ourselves, we can raise ourselves. Both can be done. That is our boon as well as the bane. Because with the wrong association, we can be lowered. We can be lowered. With the right association, we can be raised. That's why Buddha says, this dispensation, this Buddhism, absolutely survive on the right association. Majority of the Buddha's disciples came to Buddha, listened to Dhamma, they got enlightened. Because of what? The good people directed them to go to Buddha and listen to Dhamma. That's why they came there. Right association was the reason they got enlightened. That's why you see, the factors that stop your journey to hell, Buddha presents number of them. First one is the right association. Yeah, right association. Why this is important for the growing up people? Because there is an age that you come across. In that age, your friends become greater than your parents. Your friends become bigger, beautiful, noble, important than your parents. There will be an age. This is the testing time. This is the time you have to be very careful. Because if you are to be associated with the wrong kind, that's it. Nobody can save them anymore. They get addicted to various wrong stuff and no escape after that. They are the second frogs. Okay? I think that's enough now. Do you remember this stuff? These things? Okay, if I remind you, can you remind me? Yeah, the 4 persons not to associate. Yeah?
Takers.
First one is takers, yes. Talkers. Flatterers. Reckless guys. What is that? The frog story, you remember? First and the second frog who fell in water, jumped out of right time. The second one got adopted, or he changed himself to the situation and ultimately died. The third story, the second story. What is the second story, I think? The desert and the demon there. How did the Bodhisattva survive? While the crowd was listening to his flattery talk, beautiful talk, Bodhisattva was watching his eyes. That's how he survived. Yeah? Buddha did not listen to his words, but observed his eyes. Eyes were telling the truth. And then comes what? The Ajasatta and Devadatta, right? Father and son. A big bondage was destroyed because of a wrong association. These are the things we should remember, which are very important for us, yeah? Teaching us to survive in this world without being burnt. Yeah? Okay? With this we conclude this Dhamma talk. All the merits that we generate be dedicated to our departed ones as well as the Devas. May the Devas and our departed ones be rejoiced with our merits. May their lives become blissful, happy and peaceful with the power of these merits. May the Devas be supportive for you to be safe, protected, and to achieve your goals and aspirations without much difficulties. May the Devas' assistance be with you all, and may they protect you, and may they help you to achieve your goals. May our departed ones be rejoiced with our merits, if they are expecting to be rejoiced with our merits. If they are suffering, if they are in misery, may their present existences become blissful, happy and peaceful with the power of these merits. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.